Soya bean.
Yeah.
That's
nice. This is soya bean.
You are doing it. So what's the acreage? You are doing some great work.
The soya bean is 150 acres.
Wow.
When are you rich?
No, we have actually incurred a lot of costs.
A lot of costs.
And don't forget that this farm was banned a year ago.
Okay. So the product or the produce will be sent to where?
Normally, because there is a ban on the exportation of soya and maize by the former minister, so all the food that we produce on our farm are sold to the national buffer stock and other. 150
acres.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's for soya. And then we have maize of about 250 acres.
Fantastic.
As well.
So, why are you walking in the water? It's collected water on the road?
Yeah, we created some paths.
And you are just in Chalote or nothing?
No, you actually cannot walk in any sandals, so you watch all of us. That's a journalist at the back who came to the farm to visit, and so we are walking barefoot.
Fantastic. But this is on the farmland.
Yeah, so you can see that's the portion you are seeing is actually maize that you can see from that portion.
Charlie, you are doing great work. I think because you criticize government, you decided not to go and apply because these facilities
I don't think that
the
food I produce, probably President Akufo-Addo is served. No, I'm serious. Probably is served with some of the food because he eats kenke, and kenke is made from our maize. And so you will not know whose farm the food is coming from.
Fantastic.
This morning, I'm sure if my brother took some porridge, it is possible that some of the maize is mixed with what I have supplied into the system. And so no one is able to predict where the food you are going to eat is coming from. So it doesn't really matter whether you belong to party A or party B. And as long as it is called food, you should be able to. So I don't have any equivocation whatsoever. A farm is a farm. And I think that
with lexicon, big English. And Fred Agbenyo also had large swath of land if you go to the Guan district, and that is not his.
You mean the incoming MP for Sal?
How are you? He's currently the parliamentary candidate for the NDC for, if it is formed, the Guan constituency.
They've already elected him?
He's been elected.
Yeah, he's been elected as parliamentary candidate.
Good morning, Fred. How are you?
Good morning, Roland. I'm doing well.
It's been a while.
Maybe
I'm Fred.
You're Fred.
Yeah.
Oh, Fred Kofi Amaya is also here. Fred is a spokesperson for the UN Ghana mission. And then also speaks for the government of Nana Addo Dankwa.
No, he's a public servant. He cannot be speaking.
How are you?
I'm awesome. It's been a while, though.
Yes, it's been a while.
I watch you from your social media.
Or at least you don't criticize. I'm told that you criticize me on your party platform. But I have many friends.
No. I mean,
reduce the criticism. I think you and I will go way back.
Joy, and then.
All right.
We don't criticize. We like you.
Thank you. I'll take it. So, good morning also to Nana Ayimedu and Diokamiyedu. You work with Jubilee House Communication. Good morning to you. Guy G, good morning to you as well. Let me just say what I have to say to all our friends and viewers watching us from home and abroad. You can also cash out. So we have the short code. Please memorize it. *439#. *439#. And I promise you, end of the segment, we'll do cash out. So today we just want to spend some time, talk about the Bank of Ghana, the governor, etc. And has been responding to all the concerns of the minority. The minority intends demonstrating, picketing, that they want the Bank of Ghana governor to resign, for example, as well as other officials in there. But he's been swiftly defending that. So good morning to a number of my friends. Mo Saeed Bontasi, good morning. Thank you. Money ni money. Lion ni lion. Good morning to you as well. Yao Kwenu Techi. Yao, good morning to you. And then also we have Inshiraba K.O. Fori. Thank you for joining us. Joseph Toku, good morning. Shaddai Adote, good morning. Onukpatete. Raymond Opoku. Raymond has to be blocked from the stream. You're sending some fake news there. So
no, it's not fake news. Today is Prince Derek Aje's birthday. That's not fake news.
All right. So we have Hansen, Gerard, and then also Amab Yomole or Yomle Kuma. And then we have Philip Abochi joining us from Keta constituency. Good morning. Prince Henry Kofodia. Thank you. Xylix Dwayne. He says he's watching us live from London, United Kingdom. And then also We have Gloria. Gloria, thank you for joining us. Boy Jefferson. And then we're grateful to you as well. Ras Kotaka, Prince Anani Selassie, Awal Muhammad, Desiree Maven, and then also Yusuf Mohammed Dutes. Okay, thank you for all of us. Now, let's go to the Bank of Ghana Governor Ernest Addison, who has been responding.
Oh, you didn't greet wish Prince Derek Ajay.
Prince Derek Ajay, it is your birthday. Have a blessed one, brother. Now, Ernest Addison, Dr. Ernest Addison is a governor of the Bank of Ghana, has been responding to the minorities swiftly.
An executive instrument to allow the Bank of Ghana acquire that land, and SIC was duly compensated. The bank then began to plan the building of its new head office, taking into consideration the need to ensure that the building meets all the requirements of a modern central bank of international standards, similar to central bank head office buildings in Abuja and Dakar, and includes provision for data centers, currency processing centers, vaults, and other sensitive installations. It is not just a simple, ordinary building. Let me re-emphasize that the bank followed all the necessary public procurement processes in this endeavor. No procurement laws were broken. The decision to commence construction was taken as far back as 2019, when the bank generated profits. Appropriations for the head office were made each year from profits made in 2019, 2020, and 2021. The project has therefore been going on for over 3 years. The DDEP only took place in January 2023. If we were to be taking the decision today, building a legacy head office would not have been a priority. However, this is a project that has been running for 3 years and about 50% complete.
And Kofi Amayao, that's a response swiftly from the Bank of Ghana governor. It's appropriate?
Yeah, very appropriate. A very good morning to your good self and to my able men here. It's been a very long while, and to your cherished viewers as well. And let me also extend my warmest greetings to the MPP External Affairs, our branches members or delegates, super delegates who are in town for the super delegate elections on
this
Saturday.
Weekend.
Yes. And on behalf of the Dr. Baumia team for the diaspora, I wish them well and a very nice day. We will see them very soon. Yesterday, the former Director of External Affairs, Mr. Atifo Adanso, met with some of them. We will continue to meet with some of them as well. And I believe strongly that by Saturday, they will give an overwhelming endorsement to His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, who will, I'm sure, eventually become the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party to ensure that we are able to break the 2024. I think that the response from the Bank of Ghana or the governor of the Bank of Ghana is appropriate and detailed, and for me, as it were, should put matters to rest. I believe strongly that the call by the minority and a section of Ghanaians regarding the building of a new head office and everything that has come out of their office, the losses that they incurred, those who are criticizing them, even to the extent of calling for his head, I think is justified because the buck stops with the leader, and he is in charge of our monetary policies. So if there's anything that is going on as far as our monetary policies are concerned that are not, going on well, as we are all aware, this country is at its needle. Things are stratospherically high.
Things are what? Stratospheric.
Spherically high. As a result, high. And the government is in the crosshairs of the people. So at any point in time, they will demand answers. And I like the new generation to some extent as to how we would want to demand for answers when something untoward is happening. In this case, I believe strongly, after listening and reading the response of the Bank of Ghana, should put matters to rest. That does not mean that whenever we want to criticize, we shouldn't criticize. As far as the minority is concerned, sometimes I'm a bit surprised as to how they approach certain things.
What's wrong with their approach?
They behave as though they have never been in government.
Meaning what?
I'll get there. You have a minority leader now who was a deputy finance minister who served on the board of the Bank of Ghana. And one would have expected that, at least with the greatest of respect to him and to his office, he would have known better. As far as especially the building of the head office of the Bank of Ghana is concerned, he is aware that the attempt to build a new office did not start yesteryears. It has been there since the 90s.
You mean the plan?
The plan to build a new office. And as indicated, it's not as though they started building the thing in 2022 or 2023. Okay? Yes, 250 million or even less. I mean, at this time, to the ordinary Ghanaian, to even myself, to anybody, it's a bit uncomfortable. We are going to the extent that pensioners are losing. I myself, I made some investments. I've lost. Okay, there are some investments that I've made. I'm not able to even withdraw because of the new policy in place to be able to send out to the parts of.
Where did you invest, and which instrument did you invest in?
I think it was a mutual fund. Yeah, so. And with all that is happening, with the GDP and all that's happening, and if you should hear that Bank of Ghana is devoting 250 million to build an, it's a bit uncomfortable. But once you get the information as provided by the Bank of Ghana, and I believe this information did not just come out of thin air, they already existed. That is why my very good friend and brother, the Ghana Gas Communications Director and the Deputy Communication Director was asking yesterday, I saw in your news, that the Bank of Ghana should be proactive as far as dissemination of information. I believe if this information had come earlier, the other day I was listening to even lawyer Martin Pebu, who was giving a detailed explanation as to the cost of the building and how even relatively cheaper in terms of the area, the cost per foot and all of that. But this information, didn't come earlier. So I am of the opinion, and I would want to listen to my brother Fred as to what his reaction will be as far as the response from the bank, the governor, has come out, and see if they will indeed picket and, or the demonstration if it's still necessary after you have given detailed information. But that notwithstanding, I am of the opinion, personally, that the NDC want to come to power on the back of our emotions and our sentiments, okay? And I believe that this country should not be built on emotions and sentiments, okay? The days where propaganda, lies, mudslinging, all these things are gone. I mean, they are gone. We are in an era where we need to focus on the issues, your messages, what you'll be able to do for the people. Alternatively, what are your policies? Rather than, dwelling on the emotions of the people. Because when you mention the figure, they've printed 60 billion, they've lost. When you have people who have sat on the board, people who have worked there before, they know the rudiments within the NDC, and yet they come out as though they don't know anything.
You think they're spreading lies and propaganda?
Oh, that's what they have been doing, and that's what they used to do some years. And I one of the things that I love about Dr. Bawumia was that he more or less, with the greatest of respect to everybody, all players in the ecosystem of politics, he sanitized the system by making sure that he comes out with policies, messages, he engages the people with the alternative, he goes to take the historical facts.
Are you talking about Dr. Bawumia as vice president or before?
When he was the candidate.
Okay. Because vice president, we don't see that.
Roland, you see that very often.
Okay.
Very often. So for me, like I said, the press conference came right after when the minority made their statement. So I would want to see the minority leader, Honorable Atu Keso, come in, as it were, call off the picketing or what they want to do. And I also want to hear from Fred what you would have to say so that moving forward, I will really confirm indeed whether what my understanding of the NDC is really true.
All right,
and
Fred,
whether they've changed.
Boss says you should stop the picketing. And I know the picketing is slated for the 5th of September.
Yes.
That's right.
And the reasons being adduced. He says wishful propaganda,
Lies.
Lies.
On the back of our emotions and sentiments.
You're taking due advantage of people's sentiments and emotions.
Well, Roland, thank you very much for the opportunity to be on your program this morning. Let me say good morning to the good people of Likpe, Sandro Kofi, Lolobi and Akpafu, who for whatever reason have been denied the opportunity to get representation in the August House of Parliament. For almost 4 years now, we have been without a member of Parliament. But we are believing and hoping that very soon the right will be done, the constitution of the law will be respected, so that everybody is given their right representation. Let me say good morning to my good friend Prince Derek J and Obobi Adaku. I'm told today is their birthday, and wish them God's favor and grace. I wouldn't have responded to anything my good friend Ameyao said. Because to create the impression that the people of this country cannot reason for themselves, and that somebody must, with their emotion, somebody must tell a lie, somebody must use propaganda to convince them to think in a particular way. For me, I think it's unacceptable. Ghanaians are part of the society. We are all part of the society. They all know what is going on in the country. And so they don't need for that going to come and tell them what is happening in the country. When they wake up in the morning, there's no money in their pocket, they know. If they go to the market and they cannot buy food stuff, they know. If they go to the filling station to go and buy fuel and the price has gone up so much, they know. If they cannot pay their war school fees, they know. And so it must not take me to convince them to know the state of our country. And so to suggest that all we do is to tell lies, all we do is to, try to leverage on their emotions and use propaganda, for me, it's unacceptable. And I was wondering why you decided to bring Alhaji Bawumia's name into this conversation. You purport to be a member of his campaign team, and so I would have thought that you leave him out of this conversation because he doesn't know.
Are you a member of Dr. Bawumia's campaign team? Kofi Alko.
Yeah, why?
All of you.
You doubt my information. All government appointees have been waiting in line, so why are you?
That's unfortunate. You, on one hand, you said that Ghanaians can think for themselves.
Can you
But you are saying that I can't think for
Don't be
myself.
I'm
emotional.
saying that all government appointees have been waiting in line.
But that's
all
not
of
true.
you
We have
have
the
been-
Deputy Minister of Finance, your own man who is a member of Parliament for Hokwe, who is currently the Rails Minister, the former energy
Go
minister.
and find out what they are going through. Go and find out. Talk to them.
Okay.
Talk to them. I mean, I cannot stand that pressure, so you have to say yes sir, yes sir. Anyway, that's just an aside. Just an aside. So, Ghanaians know what is good for them. You see what is happening at the Bank of Ghana? Roland, it is pathetic. And all of us should be worried. No explanation from Bank of Ghana and the governor will make sense to anybody who cares about this country and who is interested in the well-being of Ghanaians. No explanation. And I would have wished that he didn't even come out to say anything at all. Reality is that...
You mean he didn't respond to anything at all?
What is he talking about?
Well, he said the building was thought of from 2019.
And so?
And that even though they took the action, it was not in austerity. It was at the time when the bank was making profit.
So what is the current situation now? At the time you took a decision, the bank was making profit. At the time you want to implement that decision, the bank has run bankrupt.
That's not true.
You don't have money again. You have incurred debt, 60 billion debt. You have printed money for the government without going through parliament. You have exceeded the money you even printed. So who has put a gun on your head to implement that process or that program? When the state in which we are now cannot support what you are implementing. Who has put a gun to your head? Where we are now as a country, you are spending $250 million, $250 million, to build a headquarters, to keep money, and to house people who work in that sector? What is the budget of Ministry of Agri in this country? What is the budget of Ministry of Health? Look at our road sector. What is happening there?
There we go.
Well, somebody will say the Bank of Ghana is an independent institution. But you're saying that they should look at the circumstances around
They have
us.
to look at the circumstances in which we are. As you rightly said, you are a Yama, you are still working. So you can afford to forgo your money, your investment, whatever it is. Oh, please hold it. Our fathers and grandparents who have sacrificed and served this country for several years, and the little investment they have made, at least for their upkeep, government cannot even pay those monies to them. And you think the wisest thing you can do around this time is to say you're going to invest $250 million in putting up a building. And then you tell us that you have gone through all the processes. There are several things in our constitution that we are supposed to do as a nation. Why are we not doing all of them at the same time? Go and check our political party manifesto. There are several things that you promised when you're in opposition. Why are you not doing all of them? Because you have come into power and you have been faced with the reality. And then you realize that you can't do all the things that you promised. The reasons that, or the excuses that were given by Bank of Ghana, that building where they are currently is not earthquake proof and what have you. Why? How often do you experience earthquakes in this country? When was the last time you experienced an earthquake in this country?
You're saying it's not a justifiable reason?
No, but tell me, when was the last time?
But Fred, that's not it.
When was the last time?
No, you don't have to.
What is the argument
So
that
we have to
if you
wait
go
for,
to... Can I just finish, please?
Is that a
The-
strategy
That
disrupting?
you should go and look at Abuja, what Nigeria has done. The house that they have built for their Bank of Ghana, for their bank, the Bank of Nigeria. They said we should go to Senegal also and go and look at it. What is the state of the economy there as compared to ours? And so for me, I support the call that the governor of Bank of Ghana must resign. His deputies must follow. And I don't know, I believe that for the sake of monetary policy, there should be some independence in the operation of Bank of Ghana. But to the extent that the Bank of Ghana sits there almost as the board chairman of the board, they take their decisions without recourse to even parliament, without recourse to the executive, whatever they want to do it on their own. And then the effect comes on all of us, and then you tell us that we must not talk about it. Now, all the reasons that Bank of Ghana gave, for which all the commercial banks and savings and loans, institutions were closer in this country, are they not doing worse now? All the reasons they gave. Look at the colossal sums of money they claim they have spent just on maintaining their vehicles for the purpose of monitoring. Were they monitoring themselves? If they were.
On fuel and all that.
Yes.
Communication services.
Communication services. Look at the amount of money they spent on computers. Look at the amount of money they spent on domestic and foreign travels. They are living like, Arabian kings. They are just enjoying. They are not part of the society. They don't know what Ghanaians are going through. Go to our military base and see the conditions which our military officers live. Go to Bama camp. Go to behind Ewak, the sports stadium. Go to Nima police station, all the barracks in this country. Talk to the teacher. Talk to the nurse, civil servants. We are all living like magicians. Sometimes you wonder how you are able to live to the end of the month. If you look at your salary, vis-a-vis your expenditure, you wonder where the rest of the money is coming from. And so where we are now, one would have thought that a government that is prudent, a government that cares about the people of this country, will cut down some of this expenditure. Because it's not doing us any good. You understand? I believe what will be the number one motivation? Somebody has awarded this huge contract to a contractor to build. His kickback is waiting for him. I'm sure somebody has taken his 10% or whatever it is. Otherwise, what else is the motivation? It's chop. They are investing in the areas they can chop. That is what it is.
Who is investing where?
This project that they are embarking on.
Yes. Well, Samuel Kujetu has a document to the effect that was sole sourcing and etc.
But originally, I'm told per the document that Honorable Kujetu published, that the total cost of that particular
81.
edifice was supposed to be 81.
Then it graduated to 121.
So from 81 to 121, now $250 million. Why? We have several other banks in this country, and we know the cost of their facilities. Even moving Pink Hotel. How much is the cost of moving Pink Hotel? And so for me, this is not prudent. This is not what we need. If we have $250 million in this country, invest in the agriculture sector. Use it to fix our roads.
The Bank of Ghana should.
Oh, yes. Bank of Ghana should invest $250 million. We will stop importing rice into this country. We will stop bringing in sugar from in this country.
If you look at the Bank of Ghana, that will not be part of its objects. Please. I think without
No. You see, I'm saying that it's a government decision.
Yes. If you are saying that they should look at the times.
Hold it. The same way they can print money on their own, exceed even the 5%. They can go outside and say, okay,
they can advance the money to government for purposes of saying. Now let's take you through the excerpts of the statement, and then before I come to Bernard Mona, because when you go through that statement, it looks like the vivid response from the Bank of Ghana, which though has not given those assurances to the minority, but those also criticizing the Bank of Ghana for those level of expenditure. Now it gives a response by the governor by assuring the public on the policy solvency of the Bank of Ghana to achieve its statutory mandate. And then the Bank of Ghana governor also goes ahead to say that it is worth noting that central banks are not commercial banks. Bank of Ghana's current financial condition will not impact negatively on the operations of the bank. It does also indicate that during the early years of structural adjustment, very large exchange rate depreciation led to revaluation losses that drove the bank into negative equity. So taking it back to early years of the 80s, etc. There has been zero financing in 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2021. But 2022, we knew. Even though, of course, on the back of this, we had Isaac Adongo, particularly within the minority, raising concerns about that. I think for many independent analysts of how the Bank of Ghana undertook its expenditure is how its own, based on what it had its own remit over or control over, those single items by way of the expenditure items on its own statement for 2022. Now, Bernard Mona, that supposition that the Bank of Ghana should have read the mood, the status of the country in making those decisions, even not flouting its own regulation, you go to 36 of the Amendment Act, etc. What do you make of this? Is that a prudent argument to make? And why is it not a prudent argument to make?
First, I share my greetings with the two Freds. That's Fred Kofi Ameyao and Fred and the public servant, and also, of course, Fred Agbenyo, and of course yourself and your co-host this morning. To the many viewers of your program, I also share my greetings. And let me also wish Prince Derek Ajay the best of his birthday. I think that he's an old man now. He is about 52. And therefore, yes, he is about 52, and therefore, he is gone beyond the stage of youth. Let him not deceive himself that he's still a young man. And Obobia Dako, I wish them well so that they can contribute to making Ghana a greater nation. Let me, and permit me so, to say that news filtering to me suggests that lecturers of the colleges of education who embarked on a strike demanding for improvement in their conditions of service, and when they return to their classrooms to go and do what is needful, which we applauded, we are told that they are asked, the principals are asked not to validate their August salaries from the Ministry of Education. And I pray that that cannot be the case. If that were to be the case, we'll be running a chaotic education system where you think that the right of somebody to go and demonstrate, to seek improvements in their well-being, cannot be countenanced simply because you are a minister. If that is the case, I think that they should begin to revise their notes, because you cannot allow the lecturers to go without their income, and you expect that they will go and teach. That will be very dangerous, even for the students and for all of us. Having said that, I have listened keenly over the period, and don't forget that Arise Ghana issued a statement co-signed by me. In fact, Rex Umar, who is the chairman and convener of Arise Ghana, was the person to sign first before me. And in the statement, we enumerated a number of reasons that support the resignation of the governor of the Bank of Ghana. We did not ask for the dismissal of the governor of the Bank of Ghana, particularly so when President John Mahama was confronted with a similar situation when our cedi was depreciating at 4.2 cedis to the dollar. There were calls, and I remember when he went to deliver his State of the Nation address in Parliament. Parliamentarians virtually heckled him and said that the depreciation of the cedi at $1 to 4.2 was unthinkable, and therefore the governor should go. His response in frustration was that the Parliament established a law that bars him from dismissing the governor of the Bank of Ghana. And therefore, if they wanted him to do so, they should change the law and empower the president to be able to sack the governor of the Bank of Ghana. That message, in my opinion, sank very well with Dr. Wampa, who would have thought that if the president had the power, he would have dismissed me, and Wampa resigned.
So you're saying the same should have been?
Wampa resigned. And when Wampa resigned, we saw a reinvigorated confidence in the economy and in our monetary space. In this instant, it is not a 4.2 depreciation of our cedi to the dollar. It is in excess of 12 cedis to the dollar. Is there any justification why Addison should continue to be in office? Could there be any justification that if our currency was depreciating at $1 to 4.2 Ghana cedis, today we are in excess of 12 cedis to the dollar? Addison is still at post. The same time that we are talking, inflation is hiking around 43.1%. What it simply means is that with your midget and stagnant income, anytime you receive your income and you go out there, the cost of purchasing becomes higher, diminishing your cost of living or increasing your cost of living, making you poorer and poorer by the day. You are not able to meet the expenses of the time. At the time we are talking about this, the central bank is able to spend about 131 million on maintenance of vehicles. They are able to spend in excess of 32 million cedis on travels. They are able to spend in excess of 359 million on banking supervisions, the banks that they have collapsed. They are still supervising the collapsed bank. This is how much vulgar the central bank has become in its expenditure. Just put aside the 3 billion Ghana cedis new headquarters that they are putting. And what are the justifications for the 3 billion Ghana cedis headquarters they are putting? I don't know how Asafo Mafu would have described this. Or pim, 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 pam. That's how Asafo Mafu would have described the situation we find ourselves with the central bank. Now, what is the justification? That their current headquarters is not fit for purpose because it is situated within an earthquake-prone area.
Yes, that's what they say.
And TV3 is not within the earthquake-prone area. This Ghana Commercial Bank located within that area is not prone to earthquake. The judiciary, the apex courts, are located within the same vicinity. They are not prone to earthquakes. Absa Bank is there. Universal Merchant Bank is there. Standard Bank is there. Central Post Office is there. In fact, the biggest market, Makola, is located there. And the Ghana Law School is located there. Baden Powell Hall is located there. Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park is located within the same enclave.
It's a secondary school there.
And they are not prone to earthquake. And so, if you want to say because of earthquake as a justification for construction of a new bank, then it means that all these institutions ought to be vamoosed, because they are also human beings and structures that are there. So, ab initio, this justification does not add up. But have you heard the other justification?
Which is what?
That, why? They are anticipating that one day Ghana will bid to host the West African Monetary Zone. And therefore, they should have an edifice so that they can compete with Nigeria and Senegal, so that Ghana will become the headquarters should West Africa decide to go on a single currency. What if Africa also decide to go on a single currency? You are thinking about a narrow and a conscripted area, West Africa. When you look at these justifications, it does not add up. The other thing, and my friend Fred Kofi is here.
Ben, wrap up for me.
I will wrap up for you. When you listen, you are saying that why? They started an event in 2019. How many projects have we not started? And they have to stall because the economic circumstances we find ourselves today will not permit the continuation of those projects. Just take a walk down this lane, and you are going to Jacobi Chebi-Lamte Circle or interchange. Is it ongoing? Why did we stall the process? We stall it because the current circumstances will not permit us. So you don't come at a time when you are not able to even pay ordinary contractors small monies that you owe them. Now you have run into a ditch. You are in loss. And you are telling us that an institution that has run into a loss is still solvent. What is the meaning of solvency? You have run a loss and you are still solvent. This can only be the nomenclature of Ernest Addison.
The what?
That you have run a loss of 60.8 billion. And you come and tell us that despite that you have run a loss, you are still solvent.
Well,
meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana is the lender of last resort. Now that the Bank of Ghana itself is in difficulty, how will they play that function of lender of last resort to the other banks? Don't you see the danger that we are in? And to continue to request or ask that Addison continues to stay in office, it's like you have a tuber of yam that has started to rot, and you say that, no, I don't want this yam to be wasted, so I'll keep the whole yam. If you don't cut that part off, I can tell you have no yam to eat, no ampesi for you. And the situation we find ourselves is that Addison, his deputies, and the board must be cut off if we want to see that the Bank of Ghana continues to perform the role.
So you join the protest?
Obviously, Arise Ghana is joining, and I'm a member of Arise Ghana.
All right. Just some 2 minutes on this before we go to number one. Then it will mean that when the protest is undertaken, it piles up pressure on the governor, Dr. Ernest Addison.
You see, I am a student of fairness. Okay.
Where is that lent? Which university?
The Social University.
Okay.
Student of fairness.
Very well. So you see, sometimes we behave as if nothing happened within the period under which we are having the discussion and why we are where we are today. Okay. We were confronted with an unknown disease that took over not just Ghana, not just West Africa, not just Africa, globally, with its cascading effect.
Which disease?
I'm talking about COVID-19.
Again?
Pandemic. Wait. Okay, and the resultant economic woes that bedeviled all countries, not just Ghana. Okay, to the extent that they were. I don't want to go into the pictorial things that happened, because we all know what happened within COVID. As we were recovering from COVID, then we were hit by the Russian-Ukraine war. As we speak now, the US is now the president of the United Nations Security Council, because they rotate. Every month, every country will take their presidency. And among their signature, they call it signature event, is to go back to the Black Sea Grain Initiative agreement between Russia, Ukraine, and Turkey. Because now Turkey is reneging on that initiative. So we might go back to the situation where we had, inflation as far as the food, inflation was concerned. So that situation is not even gone yet. Then unfortunately, Ghana's sovereignty debt was also downgraded. So the Bank of Ghana was
our sovereign
bond rating. So the Bank of Ghana,
our sovereign ratings were by the rating agencies. Okay.
Downgraded. So he was confronted with wait. He was confronted with a serious. In the midst of all these challenges, we had the financial cleanup that we did, and also the energy sector levy debt that was also there for him to deal with. So at the back of all these things, you would realize that yet, even though things were that difficult, salaries were being paid. Did you ever hear the public servants or the civil servant complaining because their salaries?
Kofi, if you cite COVID, and you are saying that COVID, etc., has effects on our finance, is that not when we have to be careful?
I am making. That's what I'm saying.
How we spend, and for the Bank of Ghana even to be justifying its own actions to spend this colossal amount continuously each budgetary year in a period of COVID and post-COVID.
In my initial...
Is that not contradictory to your argument?
In my initial statement, I alluded to the fact that, okay, all things being equal, the situation in which we find ourselves, and I use an expression, the one you were struggling to mention, stratospherically high. Things are not that well. Stratosphere, stratosphere.
They are not stratosphere. So, it's easy to mention.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So the point I'm trying to establish is that, calling for the resignation of the governor, that's what I'm making at least some fairness to the situation. That in the midst of all these challenges, we didn't even queue for fuels, okay? And we made available Forex to ensure that at the end of the day, our traders, even though they were not so sufficient, we didn't find, a situation where there were no food on our shelves. So at the end of the day, the point I'm trying to establish is that on the back of all these challenges, we should cut in some slack. Okay, we have gone to the IMF for policy credibility, for them to sustain our balance of payment and all that. Okay, this is something that we even have the second trend that is about to come. Let's allow him the breathing space to be able to navigate us, through this economic crisis, rather than this, every day we will picket demonstration. That's why I'm telling you that the end is the end. You should listen to Agbono. You were mentioning things that should have been done, blah 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 blah. Listen, these are some of the things I keep mentioning. When you are developing a nation, it should be devoid of sentiment and emotions. What you are saying, I can cite numerous examples where projects were put up, yet people were suffering. In the midst of our economic challenges, when Doomsday was there, you were doing projects left, right, center. You never extended any courtesy or even any providence to even our business communities, even our hairdressers. You did everything you could. You did the circle interchange, you did the Kasua one, we had the airport here and there, but people were suffering in this country. Wait, do you remember the Jubilee House? Just right here. When we were building it, what they were saying. Eventually, do you know the first government that occupied the Jubilee House? It was them. But yet they said, no, Ghanaians are suffering. The point I'm trying to establish is that in this current situation, and on hindsight, if they knew that we would be where we are, I don't think they would have embarked. They would have, made do with what they have at where they are now. But unfortunately, where we are, just like Bernard said, where we are, I think it will be prudent, advisable, if they can, and if they should.
Okay.
Store a little bit. Okay. Whilst we come out of this,
we have to go to NAM1.
Situation.
Another man who should be receiving daily.
But if they are in a position to continue with the construction, I believe that, which maybe might not affect.
You think the construction should go on? They've recorded a loss.
Wait, no, if it will not affect, I mean, as for the loss, they've explained in their statement.
Yeah.
It's a technical thing because of the DDEP.
I think we all get it.
And the IMF also have supported the fact that they are not that,
Okay. Fred, only 3 minutes on this as we wrap up. You think the justifications are right?
It is sad that our colleagues...
I'm not trying to make any justification. I'm saying that we need to be fair, especially with Dr. Addison.
Kofi, it is my turn.
I understand.
You say you are a student of fairness. You say you are a student of fairness.
Fred, only 3 minutes, please.
Were you in this country before 2016 elections? What didn't you and your colleagues say about NDC and President John Dramani Mahama?
About what exactly?
Everything else that we did in this country.
About what exactly?
Development, hardship in the country. What didn't you say? At that time, where was this thing you are calling fairness today? And who determined what fairness is? And by whose definition must be something is fair or not fair? You still come and sit on this platform and you are still blaming Russia and Ukraine and COVID for Ghana's woes.
But do you remember?
Can you allow me to do my submission, gentlemen? Can you allow me to do my submission?
Do you remember what he said?
Can you allow me to do my submission? You still have the confidence to come and sit here.
Yes, I do.
And still blame Ghana's problem.
You are not like this.
As though all the bombs that are flying from Ukraine and Russia, they don't land on any other country, but they land only in Accra in Ghana.
But you don't know that Ukraine is a food basket.
I don't get it.
Food basket.
COVID came. The money you got from World Bank, IMF, corporate Ghana, all put together, over 35 billion. Your president went to Parliament to tell them
what do you mean by our president?
He is president.
Yes.
I don't have confidence.
He's the president of.
I don't trust him.
Yeah, that's on the side of the.
Yes, I don't have confidence.
But he's our president.
Please go. He's president.
Okay.
My president, President John Mahama.
Look at this.
Yes, I've said it.
Please go ahead.
Your president went to Parliament to tell the people of this country that our expenditure as a result of COVID was 19 billion. Your finance minister at the point said 17 billion. Give them the 20 billion. If you got 35 billion and then you spent 20 billion, how do you come complaining that you are in problems because of COVID when COVID has even given you profit? It is mismanagement. It is corruption that has brought this country where it is today. And I have set time with that number. That go and check all the projects that were made about the economy prior to 2017. Everybody said because the investment you have done in the oil sector, the new oil fields that have come on board, 2017, 2018, Ghana's economy was going to do well. And so as a matter of fact, when you came into office, if you had refused to do anything, just sit down, put your hands in between your laps, Ghana would still have run and be better than you left it.
What are you talking about?
I'm telling you the truth. What did you do? When you came into office in 2017, what did you do? 2018, what did you do?
You have not
so all the things that you are taking credit for, what investment did you do that is giving us all the
growth rate increase in 2017, 2018?
Yes, so what did you do? How did you contribute to that? Nothing.
What do you mean by that?
It is the investment that President Mahama and it did.
What investment?
Is the result. I've mentioned it to you, the oil fields, the investment, the 2 additional oil fields. And this projection was made far back in 2015. Go and check. Now you are blaming the rating agencies for whatever it is. Why? They start whatever it is and they just decided to rate Ghana the way they rated Ghana. Our country has been run down. And they were just telling us the reality of what it is. How do you blame them? You see, the problem with you people, guys, is that you are not ready to take responsibility for anything. You think somebody else is the cause. And up until you take responsibility, there's no way you can correct anything. I am saying, finally, that the decision by the Bank of Ghana to spend these colossal sums of money in the name of headquarters, with the reasons they have given to us for the project, doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I am not saying that because people are suffering, we shouldn't develop this country. But we should put our money in areas that Ghana can benefit from. And I am saying that if Bank of Ghana can meet the Ministry of Agriculture and say, listen, we have 250 billion, we don't know what to do with it. Collect it, go and put it in agriculture. Today, they are fighting in Niger. Even onions to eat in this country become a problem. You know, not too long ago that even Kontomre, can you allow me? Kontomre, Mankani, plantain, we're all coming from the desert regions.
If you read the Bank of Ghana, it's not within its mandate.
I am saying that.
It has to fall within it.
I have said I'm saying, listen, Bank of Ghana belongs to the state of Ghana, right? When Ghana government needs money, they were able to go to them.
And
even with that parliamentary approval, exceeded the money, 5%. They printed more money for them.
Well, the argument is that they don't need
money. All right.
Section 30.
Do people do respect the arts?
Okay.
People do respect the arts. Do you work with arts? People don't work with
Bernard,
you don't work with
put the icing on the
cake. You do what you want to do.
If let's say,
so why are you talking about law now?
If let's say the decision on the part of Arise Ghana, the minorities, that the picketing will go on, at the end of the day, the Bank of Ghana also says it's standing its ground with cogent arguments it's made in that press conference. How should the two sides, the opposition on one side, the demonstrators on the other side, and then the Bank of Ghana come to a certain...
They are all one, the demonstrators and the NDC.
You are all one. And then the Bank of Ghana on the other side as well. Where should they, what should be the middle ground that they should all come to?
Oh, the governor should resign.
That's the middle ground.
That is the only way in order to bring back confidence into our monetary space. See, you remember my very good kid brother, Ernesto Yabua.
Yes.
And what he did in Parliament. You remember the occasion where he was virtually pushed to the ground and he shouted, "I can't breathe." The occasion was that Parliament was going to debate the construction of a new chamber that will give parliamentarians comfort so they can do their job. And we said that in the midst of the crisis, it was not thinkable that our members of parliament will be seeking luxury. At the end, that chamber was dropped. I remember Chairman Sambonsu saying that, look, this issue did not start from them. It has been in the books. As usual, Fred Kofi Ameyaw and Co. ran to town to go and pick literature to say that, look, you even said it that you are going to construct a new chamber. But when the circumstances of the time did not permit it, the chamber was dropped. Right? So it makes common sense that if today the IMF, through the conditions that they have imposed on the government of the Akufo-Addo, insist that things should be curtailed, and some projects are being curtailed, and you have an Addison coming to justify what they are doing simply because they say that the governor of the Bank of Ghana should be relocated because Accra is earthquake prone. Then they should have taken this to Kintampo.
Because it's less...
Because it's less earthquake prone. Or probably they should have taken it to Sankana, where we don't think about earthquake at all. But to continue to build within Accra, which is an earthquake epicenter, you have done zero. But let me disagree with Fred.
Which are the Freds?
Fred Agbenyo. Nana Akufo-Addo is the president of Ghana. As a Ghanaian, you don't have two presidents. Akufo-Addo is our president, no matter how disastrous he is. That is our president. And so we must acknowledge him as the president because that is the office he occupies. And I think that on that score, I want to side with him, that we don't have two presidents. I could have my person that I want to become president. Why are you doing what you are doing to me? Roland, this is not you. The other time, Anthony Gingon told you that you've been heckling me too much. And you are sitting down telling me, what should I do? I should not talk. So obviously, I think that we must appreciate that. But Addison must go in order that we are able to restore sanity within the bank. And not just Addison, we must also have Ken Ofori-Atta go so that we can restore sanity within the economy in totality.
But Roland, I think that Kofi said something. No, I don't want to correct something. When Kofi said that when the Flaster House was built, NDC first occupied that particular facility, that's not true. Remember, President Kofi finished building that particular project. He moved into that facility before he exited. So that cannot be true.
I think he's talking about who came to enjoy it.
What enjoyment is there? A flat house that is there right as we speak now, even the traffic light in front of it is not working.